Welcome to another edition of For the Health of It. I'm your host, Corey K. Paget. And today we have a returning guest, Chef Kenny James. Chef James used to be the personal chef for Damian Lillard. And before I continue on, let me not misspeak. Are you still the personal chef for Damian Lillard?
No, I'm not. But usually when he has some offhand events or things that he needs, I'm definitely on call and always available to him and any of my clients. But no, I'm not working with him formally full time anymore.
Right. So for the people that didn't see the previous episode, and I'm gonna link that in. So if y'all haven't watched that, y'all can go back and watch that. Your relationship with Dame is can I call him Dame? Is he cool with that?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. So y'all relationship is that y'all are family. But can you explain what that feeling was like when he got traded?
Yeah, it was a feeling that was kind of it had taken time to set in based on the trade talks, the writings being on the wall of the team rebuilding. It was so many different things where we were kind of prepared for the situation, more or less. It's just what do you do as the surrounding pieces to someone who is moving on in so many different ways in life and how you can benefit and take care of the things on your end. So it was definitely one of those things that was a sign of change, but we were prepared for it and already had our pivots and things that we were working on that were outside of the direct connections of us being client and an employer.
Right. So that's I want to say I saw you reposted something, or maybe you might even posted it yourself
Yeah.
about just that situation in general when an athlete does get moved. That it doesn't just affect that athlete, but it affects that athlete's chef, trainer, family. So can you talk about that?
Yeah. I've watched this happen several times before it was Dame.
Mhm.
I went through it with my first experience with Alan Crabb when he got traded to Brooklyn. I was physically in his home, cooking lunch for him, waiting on him to get back from the practice facility. And then I look on my phone and we find out during the offseason that he had been traded. So I've experienced this on a different number of occasions. And it's something that where people live and work and have established a lifestyle in a particular city to get acclimated to being something of a staple for their family members while they're doing their athletic endeavors. So it's tough to try and pull your kids out of school to get people adjusted to new sports, new cities. Some cities are colder than others, so you might have been expecting a winter that's different than what you've expected. So you have to buy new clothes. You're talking nannies and people that have watched their children over a course of time. And if you want to move them, there's so many different pieces that come with that. So as a chef, being someone that's on the internal portion of it more than just say someone who's doing landscaping or someone who's taking care of the outside things from the inside track, it really is a lot of emotional turmoil when it comes to those trade times and which location that they could end up going to.
Okay. And then you were supposed to speak on a black mental health panel, if I'm correct. For
Yes.
whatever reason it didn't happen. And you kind of just hinted at some mental health or that it might be a strain on it right there. Can you speak on how you as a chef, nutrition plays a very important role in people's life. Can you speak on that? Like how you are able to help somebody in that
Yeah.
situation?
Yes. I was supposed to be speaking on a panel in Portland in the Pacific Northwest, speaking directly towards mental health and things of that nature. And I will be doing it again. It's just we had some unforeseen circumstances. But mental health is the number one thing that I feel becomes an issue when it comes to players and their families. Going from something that you love and then turning it into an occupation can become hazardous for some because their identities are also wrapped up in their level of performance. And with their level of performance wrapped up into how much they get paid, all of those things can become a mental strain all at once. So if you're getting traded, if you're getting moved, if you don't feel that you're doing the best that you can, sometimes all of those things can swirl and become something that takes you off your game a little bit. So mental health is very important. I feel like the professional sports world has implemented a lot more therapists and psychologists and chaplains and a lot more mentally driven things into the outside portion of coaching and staffing when it comes to their organization. So I think they're doing a great job with that, but it's definitely tough because most people are concerned with how much they get paid, but they don't understand a lot of the stress and the strain that goes into what they do.
Right, right, right. And what role does nutrition play into that?
Nutrition to me plays a vital role because what you eat is essentially how you process and how you live. So when you eat fast food, commonly you're looking for food fast. So
Mm,
that means that your mental is just trying to get something quick without even concerning what it is. If you have a chef, if you have nutrition, if you have someone that's regarding how you're eating and what you're eating, then you're taking your time, you're enjoying it, your body is processing the fuel different. It's an entirely different circumstance. So nutrition plays an important part in your mental and physical growth and recovery because how you eat is essentially how you're doing everything else.
that was a bar. Everything you said there was awesome. But man, when you just said when you eat fast food, you're looking for food fast. Oh my God.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
That,
and most times people don't think about it when you structure the way you say something or you put it in and go, oh, I'm just looking for some fast food.
right,
Most time your brain is thinking of some quickly processed food, something you can just grab. It commonly has a drive-through. Most fast food does. But if you would look at any food or anything nutritional wise, it usually doesn't have a drive-through. It's
right,
somewhere where you have to sit down. Even if it's a healthier location as far as a salad place, you have to at least walk into the building.
right.
Yeah, so fast food is usually something that implies that the food isn't the quality, but the time is what you're trying to say.
Gotcha, gotcha. Man, so it's been I've had to go on my YouTube and look at it. It's been almost 3 years to the date since our last interview. Uh,
Yeah.
just chat me up, man. How's business going for Chef Kenny James? How's life going for you? Uh, did you have a son last time we talked?
Yes, yes, my son is 7 now.
Okay, so yeah,
So
definitely. Okay,
yeah, yeah, yep. He's going into second grade this year, and recently relocated to Detroit to be closer to him.
okay.
Things in Portland were basically like you said with the trade and different pivots going on in life. I decided to slow my professional career down a little bit and just focus on family. And having him close to me and being able to do different things has really benefited me a lot in that personal space. Learning to acclimate to being on in the Midwest, I guess East Coast, and cultivating different clients from here. When you spend so long in a particular place, you just get used to how things go and the way they roll. But I'm enjoying the career change as far as relocation. I'm enjoying the family time. I just like the rebuild of what's going on, and now I'm just trying to establish what it looks like to travel as a private chef, an intimate caterer, and just provide the needs that my clients have over the course of the year without being directly connected to them.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So what do you envision that looking like?
For me, I would just like to travel a few months out of the year, just doing some specific week long or maybe a couple of week stints with particular private clients if they're in their off season or in season. Just traveling for small, intimate events, worldwide situations, but making sure that Detroit stays my home base so that I'm taking care of family. Because I gave myself a certain amount of time to dedicate solely to my job, solely to my work so
Hmm.
that I could feel fully focused and locked in and that I didn't miss a step. And now that I'm into the latter portion of my career when it comes to private work and long term work with clients, it's just trying to taper it down to where it's similar to long term, but not necessarily as engaged. So yeah, yeah, I enjoy the new location and just trying to figure out what it looks like.
That's awesome, man. I I I spoke to plenty of coaches before because I'm a coach by trade, and even other teachers and principals, and they've all said something along the lines of, "Man, your kid won't remember you working overtime all those years, or your job won't remember whoever it was." But they basically said that your kid will remember you not being around. So, man, I think that's very admirable that you're going to be there, that you're trading or changing, not trading, but changing up your timeline and time. I don't want to say this. Your equity, your time equity to spend more time with your son, man. That's a good deal for you, bro.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I made the decision once he started going into grade school. I feel like elementary, kindergarten, the pre-K time, that's just to get friends and social skills. But once he starts going into grade school, you need to understand structure,
Hmm.
understand the way things work. And that's where it's vital for me to become an active parent and present parent. And it's not necessarily his responsibility for me to decide how I'm going to split up my time. It's up to me as the father to make sure that everything is getting done and taken care of professionally as well as personally. So I owe that to him. It was a natural decision, a difficult one, but a very natural one.
Yeah, yeah. I respect that, man. Respect that 100%. Uh, so you've moved from Portland because you are, is Portland considered West Coast? I mean, I know it's, is it Northwest? What, like, is it like,
Yeah, I mean, we would consider it West Coast. They call it the Pacific Northwest. I think that's just based on the geography of mountains and a couple of forests and things like that that separate the California concept of what the West Coast is. But yeah, you would definitely consider the Portland Northwest West Coast.
okay, so in my mind, I'm assuming like the diet between Portland and where you grew up at is basically similar, right?
Yes, yes, to
Okay.
some degree.
All right. So now I know for a fact going from the West Coast over to the Midwest or whatever Detroit is considered East Coast or whatever, what's the diet like?
I feel like I enjoy Mediterranean cuisine,
Mhm.
so I'm loving it in Detroit. It has a high Middle Eastern population, and
Wow. Okay.
yes, I love the cultural shift. I've always praised the Mediterranean diet. It has the healthiest form of oils. They use a lot of fresh ingredients. A lot of the meat is just grilled as opposed to fried,
Mm.
and they have a lot of vegan and vegetarian options based on the religious aspect. So I really enjoy that, and I'm getting immersed in that culture a lot more now that I'm here. So I enjoy the shift and the culinary world that's booming in Detroit. It's become something that is of rather interest to me. At first, I was just assuming to come here and hear all of the things that I already heard about the city and the level of disparity and distance when it came to food deserts and just
Right.
overall quality of life. But it's not at all what I thought it was, and I enjoy it. I think that it's going to be something um, that as Chicago grows, as Detroit grows, as New York grows, it'll be that nice middle ground in between and become a hub and a stopping point in between those two places for things culinary and overall entertainment.
Okay. All right. My next question for you, Kenny, Chef Kenny, excuse me, is
Uh,
you mentioned veganism, right?
yeah.
Now the last time we talked, you gave a little thought process on that you wouldn't recommend that an athlete partake or engage in a vegan diet during in season. Do you still hold those same thought processes or have they changed or evolved and why?
I still feel the same way. And the reason that I do is because it's the intake, it's not about the diet itself. If your body isn't used to the intake that it takes to maintain a vegan diet and the amount of food, the mass that it takes, then it can be difficult and bothersome to eat that amount of food. So you can get way more protein condensed into a smaller amount of animal protein as opposed to vegetable proteins. So what you're just trying to do is with time, once again, with that fast food or how much time you actually have to sit down, an athlete's schedule is very limited. So if their body isn't used to the eating and processing time of a vegan or vegetarian diet, it could throw their schedule off in a season where time is very important and vital to the schedule of how they do things. So I never like to rock the boat with a diet in the middle of the season. Now, if they would like to in the off season, slowly ingratiate a vegan or vegetarian diet so that by the time they reach in season, the processing and the food time has been set, then we can go there. But I just wouldn't suggest doing that as a pivot in season, it can become something that can be weary on the body if you're not used to it. So it's not that it's a bad diet, it's just a bad scheduling situation if you're not aware of it.
Got you. Man, you were using some good terms up in there, man. The intake and then the processing of that. If you can you just give us like the 101 version or the bird's eye view version of what happens when an athlete takes in food or and all that and the process and all that?
Well, basically, what an athlete is trying to do, as opposed to a normal person who's just working a 9 to 5 or is just in taking some fuel because they're hungry. An athlete is literally thinking about the macros, they're thinking about the proteins, they're thinking about what's going to give them the edge. So when they eat food, they're looking for a specific result as opposed to a happiness factor. So now they're trying to have enough time to eat, process, sleep, and then use that fuel to get to the next level. So most time they're eating just for rest so that they can replenish and get back to that next workout. That's why liquid vitamins, such as your Gatorades, those nutritional supplements, all of those count because they're a way for them to easily get the nutrients that they're trying to get in and streamline their time process. So sometimes it's not even food more than it is a smoothie, a nutritional pack. Sometimes they'll have those packages of collagen and things of that nature. So when it comes to an athlete, they're just ingesting what they can in a time frame that they can to keep the fuel running for their bodies to get to the next level, as opposed to someone who is just eating once again to feel full or satiated.
Got you. And then can you, if possible, I know we didn't talk about this pre-show, but can you give us the meaning of macros and micros?
Okay, macronutrients are your larger nutrients. Macros are your vitamins, your vitamin A, your vitamin D, the things that you need to get that are larger in space, your carbs, your fats, the things like that. Your micros are your minerals, things that are smaller in nature, things that you're trying to get in the body that usually would come in organic matter. So usually your body processes certain things, and those are what you're trying to get. The fats, the carbs, the proteins, those are how you gauge your macronutrients. Those are the larger things you would be eating. The micros are what can come in between those, how you can maximize getting the vitamins and minerals in between those macronutrients. So your calorie intake is usually based on your macros. So if you're having a certain amount of fat, a certain amount of carbs, a certain amount of protein, that's what they're counting. The micros are what you can layer in between that to make sure that the diet or whatever you're intaking is going to be balanced.
Okay, that works. That works. Appreciate that. So I don't want to go too much behind the scene because I don't know what you're allowed to talk about and whatnot. But I think I read somewhere that the average basketball player runs about 2 miles a game. I'm not sure how many calories they burn, but I do remember watching that. Who I can't dang who was that? Basically, they said on lower levels outside of the professional league, they practice to play. Whereas there's so many games in the NBA that you're playing to practice, right? So can you just talk to me about how many calories an athlete burns on average during an NBA game, and or you don't even have to keep it to the NBA. You could go to whatever sport you want, and then how is it your job to replenish them?
That's all specific to the nutritionist. So every year I meet with the nutritionist and then we go over that specific player's needs based on the projection of minutes that they have them on the floor. So, like you're saying, an average of 2 miles. But if they know that that athlete isn't going to play, but they want to prepare them to play or get them ready for practice or second team reps, then that's the diet they're going to put them on. But if it's a starter and they know they're going to get more time, more depletion, then that's when we increase the nutrients or increase the intake. So it literally just depends on how much they expect this person to do. And then as it changes over the course of the year, saying, okay, he gets more minutes, someone gets injured, that anything changes, then that's when you take it up with the nutritionist. So it's really a daily, almost hourly thing. Sometimes they get injured and they're out for the season.
Right.
We had that happen with Nurk, where unfortunately he had that leg injury.
Right.
And that changed from, okay, we can't feed him certain things because this is about healing and processing time.
Mm.
So yeah.
Just- Can you talk about how certain foods, because you mentioned his leg injury, how certain foods might lead to more inflammation, and then you got to change that up?
Yes, yes. So there are certain things like you don't want to use dairy when you're trying to reduce inflammation. So that immediately just cuts a certain amount of things out. And most comfort foods have dairy or some sort of lactate in it and lactic acid, excuse me.
Yeah.
Uh, and that type of thing is what creates the inflammation. So you want to try and just stay away from things like that. You want to use a lot more bone broths and things that will increase the level of healing. So you try and stay away from certain things, still stay within their religious aspects or dietary restrictions, but project it out over the course of time. So it's not like the food is going to create instant healing, but it just aids in the healing process. So you just change the diet immediately from whatever we were expected to do to a workload where this person isn't going to be able to work off as many nutrients, but that's where we get the micros in.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. Do you have fun with like developing an athlete's meal plan?
Yes, yes, I have a lot of fun because there are certain things that I think are just playing the hits. I think certain recipes and menus work naturally.
Right.
I think certain foods are always a favorite for people. So when I'm trying to make up a menu or make up a guide or anything, I feel like it's fun to see where I can benefit them as well as making their favorites and getting them to try new things. So as soon as they tell me they don't like something, I go, okay, I'm going to challenge myself to see how I can, work the medicine in the candy and go,
Right.
okay, you wouldn't have liked this before, but
Right.
now I can get you to eat it. And then that aids in the fueling process. And when they feel better and go, okay, I would like to eat that again because they see the results, they notice that it was something that they didn't eat before, and it's providing a level of performance that changes for them. So, yeah, it's fun to challenge myself to get people to do more and be more because that's where I feel that my input or my contribution to their level of greatness comes in the most. It's just challenging them just like any other coach would.
Okay. I was literally thinking, man, don't ask that question if like they tell you don't like something, you probably wouldn't make it anyway. Because I was like, man, he's there. But I you hit it. It's like you were reading my mind, man. I appreciate that.
Oh, no, no problem.
Uh, and I want to shout myself out here. I was making the dinner for my mother-in-law, and my wife was like, "My mom doesn't like Brussels sprouts. I don't know why you cooked them." I was like, "I bet she like these."
Right.
No.
Exactly. Exactly. And then it's no better feeling than when I don't really like it. And then they eat it and it's like, oh, I've never had it in this way, or I've
Right.
never had someone present this in this particular fashion. So yeah, yeah, it's great to watch that wow factor take over.
Yeah. And then I don't know if I said this before, but it was also when my father-in-law, one of the highest compliments I ever got. And the dude said, I can't even remember. I think it was just a roast. And
Yeah.
I did it in the crock pot. And he was like, it reminded me of the holidays. And
Yeah.
bro, that is like the highest of high praise to me.
Right, right. Because holidays that's where you get the love and the most time and care when it comes into making a dish. So for someone to be transported to that time over something you made, that's the greatest honor. And that's what I like to do when it comes to food, trying to transport them to a comfortable space while they're eating so that they can get that level of respite in between that work.
Gotcha. So have you ever seen that movie Ratatouille? Ratatouille.
Yes,
So it's
yes.
kind of like how when he bit into that, it took him all the way back down.
Right, right. That is the goal every time for every chef. It's a transportation from one place where you are to us trying to get you to feel that city, that location. Just like Taco Tuesday, we
Right.
are trying to transport you to a space that makes you feel like this taco is as authentic as it would have been if you got it where the location was from.
Right. Awesome, man. Awesome, awesome, awesome. And it's Ratatouille made me think of this thing called a fork and film. Have you ever seen something like that?
No, I haven't, but I'm willing to check it out.
Okay, so it's basically it's a movie, right? And then they feed you foods from the movie, but they don't just dump it on your plate, right? They bring it to you as the food pops up on the screen. So the
Right, right,
course Ratatouille, they bring you all those courses as he's
right.
making throughout Ratatouille, and then at the very end you get the
Yeah.
Ratatouille. Uh, the one I did see, I never been to one. I just I just heard of it, and I was hoping to catch one soon. But I've seen one lady go to one where it was a soul food, and I was like the actual movie, and I watched it, and I was like, bruh, that's the one I would not do, just simply for the fact that there's just so much food in soul food. I don't think I could. I don't think I could do that, man.
I honestly, I wanted to do something similar to that effect with music.
Okay,
Pair with the DJ and then find certain foods or certain things that are explained throughout a song. So if we're talking about Biggie and he says the T-bone steak, cheese, eggs, and Welch's grape, I want to
ooh,
bring that out.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I'm like, okay, this is my rendition of that. And then just go through different spaces in music and Jill Scott's Is It the Way? Make that breakfast that she was talking about that made her feel so good that morning. It
right,
could be simple, but the way it's played, the way it's presented is what's going to put you in that mood and in that vibe. So yeah, I think that it's something that if you go to it, enjoy the timing that it takes for
right.
someone to plan a meal and get it presented to you on the minute that food is being displayed on a screen. That's where the level of difficulty is. So yeah, anything like that, any movie where they presented food throughout the time, I would enjoy.
Yeah. Okay, man. Hey, I'm gonna be paying attention. I hope you do something like that, man. That would be dope.
Yeah, me too. I have tons of ideas, and now that I have a little bit more free time and not necessarily connected to any one place or particular entity, I can move around a little bit more.
All right. So that kind of segues us into our next discussion, man. What career goals or projects do you have coming up?
Right now, I just partnered with a company, and we're in the process of me becoming the main instructor when it comes to culinary arts and development for a lot of businesses. I'm in the era where I want to start teaching all of the things that I know as opposed to particularly doing them. I think that there's a lot of space in the culinary industry where people are not pricing things correctly. They're not understanding the proper licenses and business things that they have to do. And I would love to start to get people up to speed on what they need and how that works for them. So that's my main goal right now, just establishing that business. And once that gets off the ground, I'll be traveling, doing certain motivational speaking classes, demos, things of that nature, in order to just push the culinary industry forward from the new space that I feel we have, which is this social media private chef catering world that
Mhm.
wasn't always there before. So I
Right.
just want to kind of revolutionize that as much as I can. That's the biggest goal for me.
Got you. Uh, the rapping chef. Have you heard of him?
No, no.
Okay, so I think he's Tracy McGrady's brother, and he raps like he it's basically like a mixtape, right? And
Yeah,
he'll rap over a song or over the instrumental of a song as he making the dish, right? And he's making whatever the dish is, and the lyrics to his song are what he's doing in the video.
right.
So I brought him up because people always shout out, oh, LeBron, he did such a good job putting his boys on, or Dame with you, or Tracy with his brother. And it's
Right.
like, yes, they did. But at the same time, y'all had to hold up your end of the bargain.
Right.
So I just want to say, man, that's dope on the rapping chef that he's doing his thing and you doing your thing, man.
Yeah.
I,
I appreciate it. It's definitely a certain amount of, especially with this world going around with the nepotism thing with Bronny Jr. and LeBron, and it's a high point right now. And it is a thing when your family is of a certain skill level, you want them to be the best version of themselves that they can be. And fortunately, like with Dame, as him being an athlete, that allowed me to push myself in the best way possible in the culinary realm. But I was already prepared for it. I was already having a passion in it and wanted to see how far I could take it. And he just helped me to propel that. So
got
if I didn't have the passion or I didn't have the drive, he could have given me 1,000 opportunities
and it would
and I
never
would have
work.
never done what I needed to do with them. So it's just understanding that I can't get caught up in how I got in the room. I just need to do the best now that I'm in the room and make sure that I don't disrespect the people that allowed me to be there.
Facts on that, man. I'm 100% on that. Uh, it's crazy because there's a lady here in Clinton, Mississippi. She was a manager at a Burger King. She hired her son and his three friends for the summer so they can make some, summer money, buy some
Right.
cat, or buy some clothes for school and whatnot. It went viral. Nick Cannon shared it out and everything. And then like a month ago, she got fired. Her son and his three friends got fired because they basically said she was paying them too much and something like, oh, she broke policy is what they said. Is what the district manager said. And I was just like, man, I don't. She said the quote I read was that minors are supposed to get it paid at a certain pay rate per hour versus adults. And I was like, I never heard that. It might be true. I don't know, but I just thought that was crazy when but when you mentioned nepotism, that just rang in my head real there.
Yeah. See, in a situation like that, that's where I think teaching what nepotism brings.
Right.
There is a negative side to it. And if someone sees that you're trying to create a monopoly with your nepotism, then they're going to use the preset rules that they already have in motion to negate that. So unfortunately, if she was going to provide them with a job and then pay them as much overtime as they wanted to, imagine that sometimes with them being kids, one of them may have left early but still got their full pay.
Mm-hmm.
Someone may have called in sick. There were so many different things that over the summer that young kids are going to do that may not have contributed to the level of nepotism that she was trying to offer them. So I have to show up to work every day with Dame and all of my clients. I can't be late. I have to do twice as much work because of the eyes and the negative energy that's going to come with that. So it's a great thing to do, but she also has to understand the level of responsibility that she now holds to the work that they need to do, which is above and beyond considering how they got the position.
Right. 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 Before I get you out of here, I failed to mention that you are NASM certified, a certified nutrition coach. So I want to make sure I shout that out. And then quickly, can you talk about the food deserts in Detroit and how do you plan on battling those?
What I want to do, the first thing I wanted to do was just speak with a lot of the city representatives and athletes in the city and see what form of foundations that they already have that are tackling the space. See what the actual concept behind how they have the food and distribution here. I don't want to come in and feel a savior complex of noticing a
Mm.
problem and thinking that my outside view is what's going to fix it. So it's going to be a long process, but I just want to get myself involved with schools, involved with athletes, involved with governmental programs, and see how they're getting everything where they're getting it. The number one thing that I've noticed is that there are just certain places that have better food and grocery stores. So how that is distributed, the weather here, it snows and becomes sort of a it becomes hard to get the proper produce or what their seasonal vegetables are, things like that. So just trying to figure out what goes where and how we can fix it. I've been thinking of this program and initiative that I want to put together for professional sports, where hopefully we can start getting greenhouses built the same way we do parks. Because every year, All Star Weekend, they build a park. If we can build a greenhouse or some sort of garden or hydroponic location that allows people to see how food is made and distribute that food, it can become a larger asset. So it's just so many different things that I want to get into, but mainly just observation and educating myself on what to do next. But it's a long road ahead.
Hey, it's all about the battle, man. And we'll
Right, right. The long game.
uh so just so everybody knows you do have a flight to catch today. But hey,
Yeah, yeah.
I certainly appreciate you taking the time out of your day to get on here with me, man, and tell your story.
No, man, it's my pleasure. Anytime. You know, when you call, I got you. And that's what it is when it becomes a chef and you have to move around. You got to pivot and you got to make sure that you get everything done. So, no, it's my absolute pleasure, man.
All right. Hey, this has been another episode of For the Health of It. I'm your host, Corian K. Paget. Make sure you follow Chef Kenny James and make sure you follow us.
Thank you very much for having me, man.